Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So several years ago, I did videos at the end of the year highlighting my favorite shots. So I did the best 20 of 2020, the best 21 of 2021. I skipped last year, I'm not sure why, but I am back. So in this video, I want to show you my favorite photographs of 2023. I should probably limit it to the top 10, but that would require too much work. So I'm going to go through them pretty quickly, but I'll show you the top 23 of 2023. Let's jump on my computer right now and we'll get started. So I started 2023 on the big island of Hawaii. And right near the Kona airport, there's these great lava tubes that when the water comes in, the waves come in, it fills up with water, and when they go out, it empties out. And if you set your shutter at 1/3 of a second, and you time it right, you get this shot as these tubes are emptying out. Wish I had a better sunset here, but I just love the motion of the water. Now, when I get back to the East Coast, of course, it was winter, and so landscape photography is not a great option, at least if there's not snow on the ground. So I tend to focus on architectural shots. This, of course, is the inside of the Guggenheim Museum. Usually you shoot it from the bottom. This is from the top. Pretty cool shot. Another architecture shot I got was Hotel Marcel in New Haven, Connecticut. This is a brutalist building built in 1970. It was originally the Armstrong Rubber Company's headquarters. It was empty for a long time, but now it's been refurbished as a hotel. I got this shot by going out 81 seconds on my shutter speed. I got that great cloud movement, and the building pops really nicely against the sky. In March, I did a drive from Portland, Maine back to Stamford, Connecticut, photographing coastal New England. This was a cool spot I found in Maine with these fishing shacks right on the edge of the water. I took a bunch of shots, but my favorite one was this one with these three shacks huddled together just as the sun was rising off to the right. As I made my way south, I stopped, of course, in Massachusetts. This was in Scituate, Massachusetts, the South Shore of Boston, where there was just a nice area with fishing boats and lobster boats as the sun was rising. And my favorite shot that morning was this shot with this one, I guess, lobster boat pointing out to the horizon with a nice soft sky in the background. I kept driving south, and I would stop probably every 5 or 10 minutes to take a shot as the sun was rising. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw this shot with these two Adirondack chairs facing the horizon. So I jumped out of my car and snapped this one. And about 5 minutes later, I saw this scene where these houses, I won't call them shacks, but maybe little bungalows on the water, but had a cool reflection in the water in front of them too. The next month, I had to be in Tampa, Florida for a board meeting. But I went down early. I visited an aunt of mine in Boynton Beach, and I had heard about this fishing pier that was damaged during one of the hurricanes from a buddy of mine. So I went there and I got this long exposure shot as the sun was rising just behind part of the pier that's still standing out in the water. Pretty cool minimalist shot. In 2023, I did a lot more portrait work and headshot work. I was able to photograph a team of landscape architects, 11 of them in one sitting. But this was my favorite. She was a fantastic model, had a great expression. I got the lighting just right on her, so I was pretty happy with this headshot. In my new house in Connecticut, I have a photo studio, and I've been doing a lot of work in the studio with portraits and headshots. This happened to be an aspiring professional model, so he was fantastic. Great looking guy, obviously, but also really knew how to pose. So this is my favorite shot of that session. The area where my house is filled with country roads. This is actually my street. It's about a mile down the street. One morning when there was fog in the air, I got my camera, drove down the street, and I got this shot with really cool light coming in through the trees and hitting the road. I love finding new buildings in New York City. This was actually two buildings next to each other that my son told me about in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. So I drove down early on a Sunday morning, pointed my camera straight up with a long exposure, and I got this shot with both buildings in the frame and some nice cloud movement above. Really cool area and very cool buildings. So I checked something off my bucket list this year. I did a safari to South Africa. It was unbelievable. I'm sure some of you have done it, and it was fantastic. Some of my favorite shots were, one, This one with this cute little zebra peeking through, giving me a little bit of an expression. And then this one with a lion. We track lions all over the place, and it was really hard to photograph them, at least when we were there. But we were really patient, and this guy gave me a nice stare and a nice expression, and I had good light, so I was really happy with this one. While we were in South Africa, we were in Cape Town, and we went to a museum that's actually in an old grain silo. The museum itself was okay, the art, I should say, but the structure was really cool. So I went up to the top and got this shot on the spiral staircase heading down. In September, I was actually hired to do some photography in Montana. This is privately owned land, and I was there to photograph the land. And I got these amazing shots. It was just a beautiful, beautiful part of the country. I was also, throughout some of the trip, blessed with some really great light. And so I had someone driving me around for part of it, but I also did my own exploring. And honestly, you just can't ask for better light like this. This was up on the top of, I would say a mountain, but a pretty big hill. We got there early in the morning, looked out and saw this, and my heart was racing. When I pointed my camera a little bit to the left, about 15 minutes later, I got this one with fantastic layers and great light rays coming through. So the autumn colors were pretty good in the Northeast this year, and I love photographing waterfalls in the fall. And luckily we had a lot of rain. So this was actually a spot. It's on private property. It's not easy to find, but I did come away with this really cool shot where the waterfalls has nice layers to it. It had some colors on both sides. It was a foggy morning, which added to the mood. And so this was my favorite shot of the fall that I took. So in my studio, I'm photographing people, but also anything else that I find interesting. And so I happened to be at a florist. I saw these two calla lilies that I thought were perfect, so I bought them just to bring them back to my studio and photograph them, and I love the black and white treatment. I generally don't photograph a lot of events, but I was asked to photograph a small wedding in the Hudson Valley as a former work colleague of mine. I found the experience to be stressful, scary, exhilarating, remarkably rewarding, especially when you have a beautiful bride like this. This is one of my favorite shots of the wedding. Okay, last one, an architecture shot. This is the Gilder Center. It is part of the Natural History Museum in New York City. Super interesting both from the outside and the inside. And I went just to photograph the structure itself. I was able to get a shot of the main staircase and the ceiling. Had to clone out a few people, but I think it highlighted the structure very well. Hey, if you like this video, it does help the channel just to give me a like. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what your favorite shot is of the video just in a comment down below. And until next time, thanks for watching.